How do you build a McDonald's in The Sims 4? Why can they not decide on a colour scheme? How much salt is really in a McChicken sandwich? And what actually happened to Ronald McDonald? Today I will be answering 25% of those questions. And if you enjoy moderately decent speed builds with chaotic commentary, do subscribe. So here we are, we're starting with the shell. It's pretty simple. The layout's going to be like kitchen in the back, some bathrooms at the back, the main eating area at the front, and there's this little entrance, like glass entrance area. And then I'm going to do some seating outside as well. And then the plan is we're going to have the drive-thru go all the way around the back. We're going to have a little like ordering bit and then the windows at the side. So I've got the cars out here, as you can see. I'm using these for scale. I've also got that mannequin inside. His name is Jeff. He's there for scale as well. And I'm making a car park. So there's going to be a little car park here using the Eco Lifestyle concrete paint. I think it's called something like that. And I'm just putting these in for scale, like how big do I need these parking spaces to be? And I'm gonna make this little, what would you call this? It's not a garden, it's not good enough to be called a garden, but it's a sort of half garden. It was an attempt at a garden, and it's gonna be around this little seating area outside. I'm using my favorite little live edit wall pieces to do this, from, what the hell is that pack called? It's from that pack that has like, it's very tropical, and what is it called? Something Adventure? Jungle Adventure, that's the one I got it. Okay, so we're using these live edit fences from Jungle Adventure to make this little ledge for the pathway, for the little garden. And at McDonald's, they often have these outside McDonald's, and there's not much growing in them because people just run across them. They're not pathways, but I don't think people care. So that's why there's not going to be many plants in here. So I'm going around finding the car park, finding the roads with this terrain paint. Now, as you see, I've sort of cut through and I've done all of these edges because you saw how I did one of them. You don't want to watch me do all of them. That's really boring, placing the same fence over and over again. So now I'm going to go around the back and I'm making this drive-through area. I've got a few shrubs out as well. I sort of went through and picked a palette of shrubs that I'll use later on. And I'm going around doing this car park area. Yep, so now I'm using this wall. There's a bit of budging around. I'm sort of finding this as I'm going through it. I'm like, what do I want to go where? What kind of walls do I want to use? I'm also trying to remember what a McDonald's drive-thru looks like because I don't have a car, so it's been a while since I've seen one. The exterior of this too. So this build, I have to say, this build was really annoying. It was one of the most annoying builds I've ever done. I feel like I say that every time I build something. But this one, hands down, was the most annoying one I've done. Because as soon as I had the idea to do this, and I looked up some reference images of like, what does a McDonald's look like? What does a McDonald's interior look like? The exterior and the interior, there is no consistency in any of it. So I'll just pause to say, like, so I've done the exterior here. You can see, like, this is the car park, this is the drive-thru. And I've put some bushes in. So this is sort of like the base exterior done. And I'm going to use terrain paint now to fill in these garden areas. Doing some layering here. Terrain paint there's something wrong with terrain paint currently. I don't know if it's the latest patch or what, but when you use a terrain paint over an existing one, it almost like blends it in with the green grass below it, and so you get this horrible like muddy green limey texture. So I had to sort of play around a bit in modifying the way that I was using the terrain paints because it's behaving very oddly. It's behaving very differently. You can see that like I'm putting grey on top of brown and yet there's green coming through. So I don't know what they've done. They need to revert it. It's horrible. I hate it. I couldn't. Oh, it was annoying. I managed to sort of get it to work, but this was really annoying when I came to putting some like tire marks on the concrete because I don't want green showing through for tire marks on the concrete. So I almost had to like use a brown swatch when it came to doing that in order to neutralize the green that was coming through. It was a whole pain. I don't know what they've done to it. They need to change it back because it's really annoying. But yeah, there's like no theme. There's no consistent theme when you look up images of McDonald's. The outside has no consistent theme. The inside has no consistent theme. It looks like when you look up McDonald's that it's just a bunch of all sorts of different restaurants. They have not decided what they want McDonald's to look like. There's like wood, and there's red, and there's black and white, and there's like tiles, and there's natural textures, and then for some reason there's like randomly bits of green. I don't know if they're trying to like bring nature into McDonald's, but they're really bad at looking after plants, so they're just painting a wall green and saying that will do. Like, I really don't know, but I had to just this was a struggle finding some kind of merged aesthetic that at the end I think would resonate with most people as to looking like a McDonald's. So that's why this build was so frustrating. But as you can see here, I'm doing the tire marks that I did, and if you watched any of my other builds and you've seen me do this on concrete before, you can probably tell already that this looks different, and it's because it's behaving differently. I couldn't get as much of a sort of vivid tire marks in whatever they've changed because it was just pulling too much green through from the base. It was really annoying. But now I'm using these, what are these called? These little half pillar things. But I'm using these and these wooden slats to make these custom drive-through signs that sort of go over the road. So there's going to be one coming in that says drive-through. This bit here is going to be the order part, so I'm going to use some custom content writing to write order here and then create a custom piece. But I'm basically using tool mod here just to sort of like rotate these wooden slats. I have a lot of wooden slat usage, and these ones I'm using now currently are actually from the Greasy Goods CC set, which I use heavily in this build. I think it was sort of based on a McDonald's. It's by Little Deca. And I use a lot of other people's CC. This is quite a CC heavy build. There's some like Harry, there's some Felix, there's Pierre Sim, there's Charlie Pancakes, and obviously Little Deco with the Greasy Goods set. So yeah, there's a lot here. I'm not gonna say who did each piece because I don't know. I don't know. I've tried saying who made each piece that I'm using, but my brain is a sieve and I don't remember. So I've just said all of those names. So you can, if you want to look up any of those people, go and do it. But I don't know who made what piece, unless it's literally written there in bold writing, like by this person. I have no clue who did it. I'm so sorry. Anyway, now these are the custom alphabet, Simlish alphabet by Cardoff. I always remember that. And I'm using these just to write drive-through in Simlish. Looking back at this now, I don't think I actually needed to use this wall. I think I could have just floated them up with the 9 key from the floor, but you know, I was like already frustrated with not knowing what kind of aesthetic I was going for, that just slipped my mind. So I just made things harder for myself here. Yeah, but drive-through spelt with a U. Why do they all do that? They don't spell through correctly. And then I'm using this M. This is a yellow M. For McDonald's. I didn't make a custom M or anything because I felt like the M in this layering CC pack was nice, and it had this nice yellow swatch with it too. So I just kept that, and I think that looks very much McDonald's. So you can see here I've put drive-through on that one. I've written order here on this one. There's a little pillar that we're going to add an ordering section to. And then these are the letter I, but I'm saying they stand for 1 and 2. Window 1 and window 2, and then you have short stay here, short stay 1, short stay 2. You know, if you've ordered something they haven't cooked, you go to that bit and you wait for them to bring it out. So I'm just using basically just some like aeration filters and things to make this little order section. And I'm going to work on the roof. And the roof was, I think I have trauma from this roof that is going to last for a little while. If I sound annoyed at any point during this, it's because of this bloody roof. The number of glitches and all sorts of things that were not working with this roof, and I don't know why, because maybe it's the way I'm doing it. I'm doing it in these 2 layers, which a style I found quite often in the McDonald's reference images, where I have this sort of lower incline followed by a steeper incline just around the edge. And I mean, it's simple, but the game just did not want to work correctly with this for some reason. So I just did that around the edges, and then in the middle I just used a platform to raise it up a bit. So it's currently looking all nice at this point. Nothing's wrong with it. The game seems fairly happy with what I've done. But the more I went on in this build, the more it just sort of started to glitch more and more. I don't know what was causing it, but I've just put this green swatch on here. I play around with the swatches a little bit. I wasn't quite sure what to go for, and I don't settle on a specific swatch until I've done the walls too. But before I did that, I'm making this sort of like custom wood lattice part of the roof because there's no wood texture that looks like this. So I wanted to do a sort of custom version. So I'm using these I think these are just like room dividers, rotating them. I had to very precisely position the camera. This is where like the glitching started to occur. It didn't want me to be doing this. So I had to go top down view. Otherwise, like, they weren't elevating to the same level. I don't know if they were like clipping between the different floor levels or what was going on, but I managed to do it. And as you can see, I've placed an M here. I've sort of picked my palette now. I've gone sort of this black oak with some white elements to it, and that's sort of what I go for the rest of the exterior. I'm using these wooden slats again, and now I got rid of the roof because in these reference images, this sort of like lattice overhang has a lower part to it, and I was being really optimistic about how custom I could make this roof, and you can see, like, again, I have a glitch now because this roof does not have a bit like an edge to it. I don't know why. I couldn't fix it. I ended up having to sort of just ignore it, which I'm doing now. I was just like, you know what, that's a problem for a little bit later on. I can't deal with that right now. So I'm just placing the lower bit of this sort of like wooden lattice. But then I had to sort of, it was annoying me, so I then went back and fixed it. And the way that I ended up fixing it is I used one of the wooden partition walls, like half walls, and put that underneath. And it also, you can see I'm like trying to fix it by using these, what do you call those? What do you call those? Roof trims, that's it. It came to me. Using those, and it did eventually let me do it, but you could see it was glitching all over the place in the corner. Like, the longer this goes on, the more that this wall just starts misbehaving. It did not want to participate. I don't know what was up with it. So now that it's sort of working, I'm fingers crossed that it stays. It doesn't, I know it doesn't, because I've already built this. But I'm placing the lower parts of these like wooden lattice, this custom bit. And once I finished this, I just off camera did all of the rest of them because you could see how much of an absolute pain that was. So here I am placing that like lower half wall. And by doing that, I'm able to, you know, paint it and sort of make it. There's still, if you flip the camera up, you can still see there's some slight wall errors and things. But it made it look better. But yeah, I just even out these lower parts. And then I go and do the rest off camera. But I don't know why, like... Why McDonald's? What even is this? Now that I'm looking at it, what is this? What is this for? It's got holes in it. That's not going to keep anyone dry. What is it for? Anyway. So, I've been and done the rest of it. As you can see, I did this on every side. Oh, it was annoying. I'm not doing this again. It was so annoying. But it looks nice. I mean, it looks pretty unique. It looks pretty custom, so that's good, I guess. And then I got these. This is another set out. This is the Simlish alphabet by Little Deeker, but this one's different because it has a glow to it. So I wanted to use this one for the actual McDonald's sign. So that's McDonald's, but obviously again in Simlish because I don't want to have the English alphabet in the Sims. It's a bit weird. So there, I've gone through, sort of painted the whole exterior. And now I'm going to add these windows in. Again, I think those are... Other than the door, these are CC windows. There's a lot of CC in this. I'm just going through and placing it out for... I'm placing the windows where the eating area is going to be, because obviously I don't want windows going into the bathrooms and into the cooking area. But again, some slats. I'm going to lower these down with the tool mod a bit because they were a bit high. I've also added you can see a bit of like a wood texture to that wall trim, which I think... You know, sometimes things happen where I was forced to put that there to fix the roof. But now that it's there and I've added this wooden trim, I think it adds this nice little detail, so I'm not too mad about it. I'm really mad that it gave me a problem, but I'm not mad at the end result. Yeah, so I've gone round and I've placed a bunch more slats. I didn't want to record me doing like every single thing because otherwise you'd just be watching me repeat the same thing over and over again, just on a different wall. But we're going to do these drive-through areas, and I placed these two windows first. These are the Charlie Pancake windows. And then I realized they weren't open. I thought they were open windows. So then when I looked for the open window, it was bigger, so I just had to put those in and then just nudge these slats over a bit, scooch out of the way, make room for this window. and then painted them black. And I'm going to use some, I think these are from Prairie Sim. They're like cabinet doors or something like that, you know, from like making custom cabinets, but I just used them to place them on the wall to make a bit of a black element in the window. I didn't want that shine coming through. And then and I've, this is where I figured out there's a light look. Again, the roof is not playing up. There's no roof around the whole edge of this, so I had to fix that by placing these like tiny little room pieces using the smallest half wall to then force it to create roof around the edges. I don't know what the problem with this roof was. Is it not? A roof's just like broken in this game. There's also another glitch that you can kind of see where there's some like random wall pieces sticking up out of it that I had to fix as well. But I got so sick of having to fix things that I didn't leave that all of that in. And I've moved on now to the seating area outside. Put some like wooden bricks down, and I'm using these custom. Again, these are custom railings. I think they're from the Rise and Grind set. And then these are the cabinets from the Greasy Goods set, which I'm now finally, after the roof played up so bloody long, I've managed to get inside the building. So we're inside and we're making this little custom sort of roof to the bar. There's like, I wish I could do a bit more with roofs in this game, but it doesn't let you. But I do wish that they sort of had reverse platforms where you could make a platform on the roof and pull it down rather than making one on the floor and pulling it up. That would be really nice, but I had to sort of make do by making a custom one. And then I put in these, well, like ordering machines also from the Greasy Goods set. They have those in McDonald's now. And I always, whenever I'm using one of those, I can't help but feel like how many germs must be on it. Does that make me a hypochondriac? Maybe. Anyway, moving on. And I'm finally sort of figuring out what the style is inside here. Now, when McDonald's sat down at a board meeting and said like, okay, we're going to have a rebrand, what are we going to do? We're moving away from the yellow and the red. What are we going to do? Should we do like wood? Should we do like white tile? Should we do black? Should we do green maybe for some reason that nobody asked for? Should we stick with red? Should we still have some yellow? And they just said, yeah, let's do all of that. And let's do it in quantities that are completely unpredictable in every single store that we open. So now I'm having to just figure out what the hell I'm going to do inside here. But I'm using these benched, they're sort of like, yeah, they are like dining benches. Also from the Greasy Goods set, I've sized them down because they were too big. I didn't want them to be 3 tiles because these tables are 2 tiles. So I sort of had to compromise and size them down so there's a bit of an edge coming out. Now, I was worried they wouldn't work. They do work. I tested it. I dragged an old lady in here from Widow Creek. Her name is Bonkers Betty, and she sat very nicely in all of these seats. She then went home exhausted. She's currently on her porch with her energy bar like almost depleted, but that's her problem, not mine. So these work, and I'm using these slats again. I have a bit of a slat obsession at the moment, I think, and that I think Final Fantasy XIV is slightly to blame for that, because in the housing system in Final Fantasy XIV, everyone is very wooden slat obsessed. So I've carried that over into The Sims 4. As I rightly should, because they're very versatile. You can do a lot with them. So I've tool modded, rotated them around, and I'm using this, I think this is like an exterior window border, plaster window border, but I'm just shoving it in there to like, so they're not floating. It looks like something's holding them up. Here's the green. It's very important when you build a McDonald's that you just randomly put some green in a corner. Why? I don't know. What it has to do with McDonald's? I don't know. I feel like someone sort of just decided that they looked at a colour wheel, realised that green was the opposite of red, and thought, all right, we'll just shove some green in here then. So that's what I did. I just shoved some green in this corner. And I'm using, again, the slats in red this time. This does change. I'm a bit stupid because I was making all of these sort of custom slat partitions, and I'd completely just missed that there is actually a wooden slat partition for this in the Greasy Goods set. So I do come back and change a couple of them. But now, as you can see, I've done some work on the roof already, but I just changed the swatch there to sort of match the tone of wood that had slowly bled into it rather than that light tone. And I'm using the slats again, this time on the lower parts of the window to create a bit of like a barrier. A lot of the McDonald's windows that I looked at had this sort of like, They either had slats or they had like frosted glass or they had some patterns on them. So I thought this was like the best solution for doing that. And then I just needed to nudge these benches in because they were eating into the slats a little bit and looked stupid from outside. So again, I'm working on this corner. That's the same wall cabinet, I think, from the Pierre Sim like cupboard set. And I had to, if you see me turning anything on in better build buy mode, it's the deletion protection. Because I've realized that if you ever have a problem in your builds where you're like trying to delete or add a wall or change a wall color or swatch or whatever, and then something highlights yellow saying it's going to get deleted by this, even if it's miles away and it makes no sense. If you have better build buy mode, you can just turn on deletion protection and that will stop that from happening. So that's a really, I didn't know that's what that was, but I recently learned and it saved me so much hassle having to replace things. So yeah, I'm going in with these room dividers. A lot of wooden slats were flipped on their heads during this build with the tool mod, and I'm still sort of finding out the color scheme, but it's sort of getting there now. There's some greens. I'm going with some, you know, like beiges. I'm getting some yellow in there, but I mean, what McDonald's reminds me of is, you know, when you go on like Amazon and you order something, but in the description it's like color may vary, so you don't know what you're gonna get. I feel like McDonald's ordered like 100 chairs, except it was like color may vary. So they got a whole bunch of different colors and then they just plonked them all in the store anyway and was like, you know what, that will do. That looks fine. There's really no method at all to the madness of the color schemes in a McDonald's. And I just wish, I don't know, I wish they would sort of pick a color theme, because this is very chaotic. It's a bit too much for me. It's just a bit all over the place. Anyway, we've put in some more tables and chairs. Now, a lot of these tables, I know they look very close to each other. Like there's some stools over there with the large 3-person benches and some more chairs, but they all work. They're crammed together, but they do work. And now I'm making this custom, like another custom divider using these custom picture frames. They're sort of like, well, they're not pictures, they're more just like patterns, aren't they? But I just floated them up. And then again, I'm using this sort of like window barrier to create these pillar looking things that, you know, the implication is that they're holding them in place and that's why they're not falling, because otherwise they'd just be floating in midair. But I had to delete the wall to do that. So I just put that back in again afterwards. But this was something that, it wasn't a reference image, so that's where the inspiration for this came from. And McDonald's is getting like, I don't know who McDonald's think they are, but they're trying to get a bit like fancy, aren't they, with all these paintings and things. Like, just stay. What was wrong with Ronald McDonald? What was wrong with McDonald's when it just had a clown on the wall? I used to like McDonald's then. They're just getting a bit too big for their boots now. And then I put this giant picture up here as well, because they always have some giant abstract looking piece of artwork as well. Again, it will not follow a theme. It will be different in every single McDonald's. So I just used this one and said, you know what, that will do. It's got yellow in it. It's got blue in it. It's got red in it. And again, making a little green bit here. I'm trying to tie this in. I'm really, at this point, I feel like I've sort of ignored McDonald's completely. I've stopped looking at my reference images. And I'm just like, how am I going to get all of these colors to work together in a way that they don't just completely clash? And in the end, it sort of looks like McDonald's, but I don't know that there's not really much method to any of this madness. The chairs are just whatever color. I'm going through it and I'm like, you know what, how do I scatter these red chairs in any old which way to make it look like a very deliberate chaos? Because that's what McDonald's is. But then I'm just putting these lights into, because those are in the Greasy Goods set. I tried to use as many things from that Greasy Goods set as possible, but also in a way that sort of customized it a bit. And again with the slats, wow, I really used a lot of slats in this build. I didn't realize how many slats I'd used. But here we are again, and I'm going to size these ones down. I just wanted to make a ledge underneath this painting because it was annoying me that there was sort of this gap below it, and I wanted something to push the tables up to. So now I'm making this little pillar where I'm going to put this bin in, again from the Greasy Goods set. And I'm taking the counter and making a white version. And this is where I'm going to make that a section where they've always got, you know, like napkins and things like that. But I'm going to put another bin in too. I'm just going to scooch it in this corner. Put a few signs up to say, here's a bin. So that you know, because that one's quite hidden, to be honest. I feel like they always are quite hidden. When I'm in a McDonald's, I do feel like I'm often walking around being like, where's the bin? Is that just me? Am I blind? Or is that typical? Anyway, that's me. So finally we're moving into this kitchen area. I'm making this backdrop and I didn't really know what to do with this because I wanted to, so in the reference images, there's sort of two options. They've all got these boards in, which again came with the Greasy Goods set. So I'm putting these three in with the three different swatches, which these look amazing. Like, honestly, this CC set is amazing. But then I also wanted to put some like coffee making things behind it and I couldn't find anything like that. Here's where I found the slats that are actually part of the Greasy Goods set. So I'm just swapping a couple of these over. But yeah, I couldn't find any like coffee machines or anything that looked like they belonged behind the bar. So I went with this theme instead, where some of the McDonald's now, they don't actually have anything behind them. They're just a blank wall. So I sort of just left it like that. I didn't want to, but it was just a solution to me not really knowing what to put behind it. This kitchen bit, I've sped up quite a bit because these again are all the Greasy Good things. I'm just moving them around because I'm indecisive and didn't know where to bloody put them. And I'm putting some of these extractor fans up above these ovens, pretending that I understand how ventilation works when I don't. So I've added another chef station there, and now into the bathrooms. And I just made this up from my memory of being in a McDonald's bathroom. When me and my family go on holiday to Center Parcs, sometimes we stop off at McDonald's, which is like halfway between our house and Center Parcs, because we always need to wee, because me and my family have very tiny bladders. So that was an overshare, but that's the reason why we always stop at McDonald's. So I'm trying to remember what it looked like. I did not Google McDonald's bathroom because I learned from my mistake when I Googled pure gym locker room, and I will not be Googling bathroom designs anymore. So I'm going to make up all of the bathrooms from memory from now. So if this is completely wrong, I do apologize, but I'm just not risking Googling that anymore. So I made a male toilets, female toilets, and then a like unisex toilets, which could also be like, you know, the disabled toilets, I guess. The sinks don't actually work. Oh, and here are the urinals. They came with the pack too. They don't function, but I'm just like amazed that a pack has urinals in them. And only one of those urinals will get used, and that's due to the code of conduct for urinals that occur in male bathrooms. Anyway, so I'm going to clutter these things up. What was I saying about the toilets? I can't remember now, but we're in the kitchen, so we'll just forget about it. I'm cluttering up. I'm adding just some counters to these windows. I'm gonna have like window 1, window 2 for collecting your orders that you've made in the drive-thru. I don't know, again, I don't really know what the back of a McDonald's looks like, so I'm just sort of cluttering it up with bits and pieces. This is functional as a restaurant, so the corner pieces are chef stations, and you've got the like host stations on the counters. I've got the host station on the counters, and I've got, what's the other one? There's a third thing for a restaurant, and that's the bin-looking thing that has a recycling thing on it. But yeah, I'm putting the trays are from the Greasy Goods pack too. I'm just cluttering those up again. And then the last thing I'm going to do is this little, well, it's not little, is it? It's quite large. But this custom McDonald's sign, which is, you know, the kind of thing that is designed that you can see it for miles when you're driving around, so you know that there's a McDonald's here. So I just used, again, the card off letter pack in yellow, floated them up using the slats again to create these red sort of sign backgrounds. They didn't fit perfectly together, so I had to use the tool mod just to nudge these up a bit to fill in that area. And then again, I'm using them. I'm going to use 4 to make a smaller sign because when I sized these down again, they weren't fitting fully through that post that I've used. So I just put 2 on one side, flip it around, and then align them again using 2 on the other side. And I used the tool mod, but I've already shown you how I did that, so I skipped that bit. So now I'm getting the McDonald's. Just going to put a McDonald's sign there. This is the very disappointing part during this, where I realized that I'd misjudged the size. Whenever I do this and I realize I'm not going to be able to fit the writing, I always just feel like an enormous disappointment to myself. It really bothers me when I haven't, you know, eyed up the amount of space I have very well. But yeah, I just sized them down a bit with the tool mod and then added them in again. And this is the last thing I do, really. You can see I've added some plants and things. And then I added a drive-thru sign there as well. So there we go. That was McDonald's. It was a giant pain in my ass. It really was. The roof. Oh, the roof. And the terrain not painting correctly. Sims, please. Make it easier for me to build. I'm really trying. Oh, and I'm still currently waiting for the Sims file share to accept my application so that I can upload my tray files to share with the mods sort of like baked into them. So that's why there won't be a share link currently available for this one, and there still isn't one for my Starbucks build. I'm working on it. Hopefully I'm able to do it soon. If not soon, I'll have to do something with Google Files maybe. But yeah, I apologize about that. I am working on it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Be kind to yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.